Welcome everybody to this week's installment of the Focus TV. Joined by Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardo Dudley Jr., I'm Wilson Tarvey Jr., and once again, welcome to this week's installment of the Focus TV. It's Season 5, Episode 40. Octavia's going to let us know what's happening in NFC East after the first week of preseason football. We're heading into Week 2. Ray has the latest on the Mystics. We'll talk some WNBA Playoffs. A little bit, at least look at the seedings and whatnot. 9-4-50 breakdown. Some DC United updates, and then some rapid fire. Octavia, we're going to start with you.
We've officially finished the first week of preseason. I'm going to try to give everybody grace because, again, it's preseason. Most starters, if they did play, they played maybe one series or two. Most of it was about, any people that are really trying to make the team. So it's not a good complete look at how everything is going to go in the season, but it gives you a little bit of a sneak peek. I'll go ahead and I'll start with the Washington Commanders. They played against the Panthers. They lost to the Panthers 23-21. Sam Howell was 9 of 16, 145 yards, 3 carries for 19 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Carson Wentz was 10 of 13, 74 yards. Running back Jonathan Williams had 5 carries and 31 yards. And running back Brian Robinson had 6 carries for 26 yards and 1 touchdown. And Alec Erickson, 2 receptions for 56 yards. So again, like I said, most of these people you may not have heard of, but it's nice to give them their shine during preseason. As we talked about, Carson Wentz went 10 of 13, 74 yards in his debut. But it was a pretty solid performance. Like I said, he played about into the second quarter. Nothing too alarming. He's still kind of getting used to the team. I think the biggest takeaway was the fumble by Antonio Gibson. As you know, he has a habit of doing a lot of fumbling. So it's not a good look to start off the preseason fumbling the ball. He fumbled 5 times in his first 10 games last season and 6 times overall, losing 4. But he has said he's worked on it this offseason with his trainer, carrying a weighted ball, but it wasn't a good look to start the season off for him. And it's also not good because the backup to him, or trying to be the backup to him, Brian Robinson, had a pretty decent, if not good, showing. So if Antonio Gibson continues to put the ball on the ground, which is the biggest no-no as a running back, he may be, trying to make sure that he keeps his job, because that's the one thing as a running back you just can't do. You cannot continuously give the ball away. Outside of that, it was at first it wasn't that competitive of a game, but they showed a little some spirit and was able to come back at the end, but unfortunately just wasn't able to cash in against the Carolina Panthers. Their next game is going to be this Friday, and it's not going to get any easier because they're going to play against the Chiefs. But again, we have no idea who starters are playing, if any are playing at all. Next, I'll go ahead and I'll go to my Philadelphia Eagles. They played against the Jets, and they lost to the Jets 24-21. Reed Stennett was 9 of 17, 31 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 carries for 3 yards. Gardner Minshew, 8 of 12, 81 yards, 3 carries for 11 yards. And Jalen Hurts was 6 of 6, 80 yards, 1 touchdown. Jason Huntley, 16 carries, 48 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 receptions for 39 yards. Zach Pascal had 2 receptions for 41 yards, and Dallas Goedert had 1 reception for 22 yards and 1 touchdown. Small sample size as always. Jalen Hurts played 1 series, and yes, he went 6 of 6. To me, it was progress. I think he had a good showing. His accuracy looked well. Going 6 for 6 is not nothing. But there was a penalty that did give them an opportunity to extend the drive. I believe it was from, I can't say his name, somebody from the Quincy Williams, that's his name, hit Jalen Hurts as he was running out of bounds. So it was an automatic penalty, and they were able to get first down and continue the drive. Also, he did run for a touchdown, but that was also called back due to a penalty. But to be able to gather everything together, throw a 22-yard touchdown to Dallas Goedert in the middle of the field was a good showing. I think another great thing was our defense looked good. Again, starters only played for not too much time. Kaiser White, new addition to the linebacker core with a pick on Zach Wilson. It was a nice pick too. I didn't even see it until he was halfway down the field. So good showing. Again, it's the Jets, and we lost to the Jets, so that doesn't make it any better. But again, preseason, Another note, even though it's not about the Eagles, Zach Wilson, as we know, second-year starter, had got a bone bruise in this game, and he had successful surgery today. He should be out anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, and it looks like Joe Flacco is set to start the season off for them. But the Eagles will play this Sunday against the Browns, so that will be this Sunday at 1. Also, this week, most teams are doing joint practices, so most of the teams that they play against, if not all, they're going to have practice against, which is where majority of the ones will get their reps. So that's why you probably won't see too many of them in the preseason second game. They're going to get a lot of reps in the joint practices. Next, we'll go to the only team that was victorious in the NFC East this week, the New York Giants. They played against the Patriots. They beat the Patriots 23-21. Tyrod Taylor was 13 of 21, 129 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 carry for 2 yards. Daniel Jones was 6 of 10, 69 yards, 1 carry for 6 yards. Running back Antonio Williams had 9 carries for 61 yards and 1 touchdown. Colin Johnson had 7 receptions, 82 yards, and Richie James had 3 receptions, 44 yards, and 1 touchdown. It was a good showing for the Giants. You know, it seemed like although quarterback Daniel Jones, you know, started off moving a little bit slow, they were able to get it together and get the ball into the end zone. One big thing that I've been thinking about ever since he got there is Kenny Golladay really hasn't shown up. He had a crucial drop pass that is kind of starting to look a little bit repetitive for him, so he definitely needs to get it together. Granted, Daniel Jones had a decent showing. Again, with the new regime, new coaching, new GM for the Giants this year, I firmly believe that they don't have that many ties to Daniel Jones. I think he'll have a short leash, especially with a vet like Tyrod Taylor behind him. The only reason he lost his spot really in LA was, of course, Justin Herbert became Justin Herbert, but he got punctured by getting a shot, and it was some weird thing that happened. So we know Tyrod Taylor is a good player, so who knows, he may be coming for his spot. Like I said, he went 13 of 21, 129 yards with the touchdown. So really their offense was pretty okay. I mean, they ran 80 offensive plays, 47 passes, 33 rushes. Saquon didn't play too much, but he still flashed his Saquon-like self. He looked like he's healthy again this year, so I suspect he'll have a great season this year. They're going to play against the Bengals on Sunday, so that should be some good run for them. Last but not least, we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys, who played against the Broncos. They lost to the Broncos 17-7. Then DiNucci was 9 of 16, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 carries for 13 yards. Cooper Rush was 12 of 20, 84 yards, 1 interception, and 1 carry for 9 yards. Malik Davis had 8 carries for 51 yards. Vernon Smith had 1 reception for 40 yards. And Simi Fehoko had 2 receptions, 18 yards, and 1 touchdown. The biggest story, of course, coming out of Dallas right now is the penalties. They had 17 penalties. They accepted 17 penalties, the most against any team in the preseason so far, for 129 yards. In the first half, they were penalized 9 times for 65 yards. I always laugh because during the draft, when I watched the draft with my dad, and everybody knows my dad's a Cowboys fan, and when they picked Tyler Smith, my dad was just like, why? And it was always just funny to me because my dad, he never really criticizes. He's a huge Cowboys fan, but the one thing that, you know, Mike McCarthy said that they need to focus on was the penalties. And it doesn't look like it's gotten better so far. Granted, again, like I said, it's preseason. Tyler White, who had 16 penalties in college, he had 2 penalties in this game for holding. So I don't know if it's just a learning curve or it's just something that's not getting better. But that's something that they really need to work on. I mean, outside of that, it was, again, just a regular game. Wasn't too much going on in this game. But the other thing is Cooper Rush. Last year, he was the only backup quarterback on the team. This year, he has more of an opportunity with Will Grier still being injured. He didn't have the best showing. Granted, he wasn't out there with the ones like he did last season when he had that game against Minnesota when Dak was out. So he has to step it up as well to make sure that he is the backup quarterback if he wants to be that participant, that particular person. So again, the Cowboys are going to play against the Chargers Saturday. So that should be good as well. I'm again more excited to see what happens during the joint practices later on this week. Most of them are Wednesday and Thursday, so most teams are traveling towards the the facility that they'll be having them at. I'm looking forward to all the fights because we know that those are coming. People swinging with helmets on. Hopefully nobody gets hurt because that's just what happens in joint practices. But again, we'll see how that goes.
All right, Ray, on to you. What's the latest with the Mystics?
Yeah, man. We're here. It's the playoffs. They're going to kick off their series against Seattle on Thursday at 10 o'clock. Then they'll play them again on Sunday at 4. Depending on how those games shake out, we may see them in DC next week, or we may not. They can go up there and win 2 and be done with it, or they can split and have a home game on the 24th. But I mean, it's just what we've been saying all year. How consistent can they be? Can they execute? Can they do things they want to do on both sides of the ball? There was they had a pretty good practice today. It really just comes down to them, doing what they're supposed to do and handling business. Ariel and Natasha Cloud, and I think they're going to be big in this series because we know what Sue Bird and Jewel Lloyd bring to the table, but they have to stop Seattle's execution and ball movement, get stops, get out on the open floor and run. That's where the Mystics are at their best. Seattle's at their best when they're in the half court and they're running their stuff. The Mystics struggle with teams that execute in the half court, like the Seattles and the Chicagos of the world. Natasha Cloud and Ariel Atkins, man, they're gonna have to live up to the expectations that they've already set. They're no slouches, man, on either end of the ball. But it's going to be a tall task. I think Natasha Cloud this is one of those times that she's going to have to be more aggressive scoring the basketball. We know Sue Bird is not that fleet of foot in her advanced age. So Tasha's going to have to take advantage of that, man. Not just totally get out of who she is as a player. She led the league in assists. Her natural thing is table setting, but it'll be to their advantage if they get them on their heels a little bit. We know Stewie and Elena, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go at it. They're 2 great players. That's going to be a slugfest. But I think the backcourt defensively is going to decide this series. If they play to what they're capable of, I like their chances against Seattle, man. And they're talking about going up there and getting to and not worrying about having to play next week in DC. I like the confidence. I like the language, but you got to get out there and do it, man. I do think they're capable. It's going to be a tough task. Seattle is one of the hardest places to play in the WNBA. And they're going to try to send Sue out on a high note, but I wouldn't mind if her last game ever is on Sunday in Seattle, man, and the Mystics just go ahead and kindly escort her into retirement. But yeah, man, it's going to be a fun series. These teams, they play each other extremely well. We saw them in the home back-to-back against the Storm a few weeks ago, and both of those games, that atmosphere was already electric. Those are playoff games. Because even at that point, it looked like they were going to be each other's first round matchup, and now here we are, it's materialized. They're very familiar with each other. It's an added storyline with Alicia Clark, being with the Mystics, facing our old team. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be emotional. And she's going to have to play as well. They got her to have that added defender and put pressure on teams on the perimeter. And of course she's coming off a serious Liz Frank injury, but she's gonna have to show up as well, man. She's been kind of up and down lately, but man, she's a veteran. She's been here before. She knows what she has to do. It's just a fact of getting on the court and executing.
All right, we're gonna talk a little bit more WNBA in just a bit. We're gonna take our first break. You're watching the Focus TV. We'll see you guys on the other side of our break. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, Ray laid out what the Mystics have ahead of them. Gonna look at the entire slate of games for the WNBA playoffs. On Wednesday, we got two games. We got the 1-8 matchup. The Aces host the Mercury, and then the 2-7 matchup. We have the reigning champion Chicago Sky, and they host the Liberty. James Wade isn't a fan of. I think they're fine with it's not being single elimination anymore, but they don't like where the last game falls in this 3-game series, where if you have home court, I guess they'd rather the third game be at home. So, it's the WNBA. Someone is always going to have an issue with something because it is that league. I will say I'm happy it's no longer single elimination because that wasn't cool, but I'm happy that it's 3-3-5 or 3-5-5 now. That said, looking at the 1-8 matchup, Cardell, just start with you and then Ray and Octavia. Just your thoughts, just what you want to see out that matchup before we get to Thursday slate.
You talking about for the Wednesday matchup?
Yeah, for the Wednesday game, talking about Aces Mercury.
All right, honestly, I expect the Aces to sweep them. They don't have the inside Phoenix, the Mercury. They don't have the inside presence to deal with Asia. Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Chelsea, they can match up with Tarazi and Skylar and to kind of neutralize them. But inside, they have no answer for Asia. And Hamby and those ladies inside, they're just too small. Plus, I know Tarazi's out. She's out, and Skylar, I know she took a break at the end of the regular season. It's tough. I mean, she's a professional, but it's tough to get in playoff mode after you've been out for a few games and stuff like that to get back in there, and you're already on the man as well. So that's gonna be tough. The only way Phoenix can kind of get some momentum to me is if the Aces don't take them serious. They come in there and BSing because the Mercury will scrap. That's one thing they will do. They don't. They made the playoffs, and when it looked like they weren't a few weeks ago, they obviously continue to fight. So that's one thing they have going for them. But no, if the Aces clicking on all cylinders, not playing games, and they, and they're just on their game with their 3-point shooting, playing off of Asia, strapping, getting out and running on Mercury. The Mercury don't have enough for them.
All right.
Yeah, this is a foregone conclusion to me. I mean, I know you got to play the game, but like I pointed out, man, the Aces just have too many advantages. And then the Mercury had their 2 best players out. That's a lot to ask of anyone, to overcome, especially with the Aces playing the best basketball in the NBA, WNBA, heading down the stretch. And they seem to be on a mission, man. That it's been weird to hear them talk the entire season just about the just the culture change, with the coaching shift and everything like that. They just seem excited to be out there playing basketball, and they've been on the cusp of a championship before, and they they just seem like they want to get the job done, and I seriously doubt Phoenix is going to stand in the way of that.
Octavia, are you with the same mind of thinking as everybody else for this matchup?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's tough to say for Phoenix, but like you said, I just think the Aces have entirely too much talent, and with Taurasi being out and Skylar being out, like you said, their 2 best players, it's just too tall of an order for them. I mean, Kelsey Plum had a great year. Jackie Young, I think, was the most improved. And of course, just Asia just being Asia all year long. So it's definitely going to be kind of bittersweet for Phoenix, but I definitely think that the Aces are going to, they'll take care of it. Unless, like Cardo said, unless they just kind of get lackadaisical and, anything can happen in between the lines, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, they'd have to get real lackadaisical. That's one of those. The seating stands firm in that matchup. That 1-8 is really 1-8 for a reason, especially the reason that y'all named. The other game on Wednesday, we got the reigning champion Chicago Sky hosting the New York Liberty, who made the postseason. On the last day they clinched, along with the Mercury. Ray, we'll start with you and then Cardell. Your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I think Chicago's going to get them up out of there too. To the Liberty's credit, they played great down the stretch. Man, they was another team that looked like, they weren't going to be at this point. Those last couple spots were kind of jumbled up, and they were the team that handled business and and got a postseason berth. But I mean, this guy they're coming off a chip, man, and they're they're in full championship mode right now. Last year they kind of got hot at the end, and that carried into the postseason. This season, they were a little healthier the entire year, and and they showed they were one of the two best teams through the duration of the season, and they're just in the flow. I think with their size and athleticism, it's going to be tough for Sabrina to do what she's been doing recently. But she's been on a tear. But it's different when you got to deal with players like Kalea Copper, and of course Chicago's their backcourt. Their resume speaks for itself. And then you got Candace Parker to deal with. They're one of the best coaches in the league as well. They're one of those teams that execute really well, and any mistake you make is they capitalize on it and it's compounded. So with the Liberty, our young team, they have a wealth of experience on the sidelines, but it's only so much Sandy's going to be able to do. You don't know what that's like until you get in front of it, playing a team like Chicago in the playoffs. So yeah, I think Chicago's going to handle business here.
Cardell.
Yeah, Chicago should sweep them. The Liberty are top heavy with Sabrina, Laney, obviously Natasha, Howard. After that, gets iffy. You know what I mean? And that's with all due respect. They just don't have the depth, and that's why they, the 7th seed. Chicago got 6 players averaging double figures. You know what I mean? They have versatility, they have size, veteran backcourt, and they've done it. They're the defending champs. And outside of Aces, you got to come to Chicago. They're also number 1 in assists and field goal percentage for the league. So, yeah, they don't miss much, and they make you work defensively. That's their edge. And they just don't have enough horses. Like Sabrina, she improved drastically this season all around. Being more of a leader, getting them to the playoffs is dope. But Chicago has one of those wings, them super athletic wings that you can throw on her and erase her and Copper. And then you still got to deal with Quigley and Vandersloot. And then you got to deal with Candace, who really just been chilling this season. I'm going to keep it a buck. She been chilling. I'm going to let everybody else do what they do until we get to the playoffs, and she's going to turn up because she want to go out with a ring. She's retiring too. She want to go out with a ring. And the X factor for Chicago that don't get the pub she deserves is Azura. That's 6'6". That's defensively, she could guard the 3, 4, 5. She could step out, hit the 3, mid-range, post up, run the floor, rebound. And she's coming off the bench. And then Emma, who we all very familiar with, just quietly, just chilling. You know what I mean? So, look, man, they're the 2nd seed for a reason. It's great. New York Liberty took strides, made the playoffs. It's all good. But, yeah, I don't see it going past Chicago. This season should end in Chicago if, once again, the Sky don't play games, don't play with their food, and they handle business.
Octavia.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it just short and sweet. It should be a sweep. I mean, I think Chicago had the best home record of the season. They just want to get in there and get it done. I mean, Kalea Copper. I mean, first of all, she has the best nickname in the league at KFC, and then just Quigley, Vandersloot, it's just too much for them. Like you said, Sabrina Ionescu had a great season, and they were able to turn it around when it looked really, really dim for them earlier in the season. So, I mean, for them to get here is, to me, I mean, I would think to them is a win in itself. Granted, it's probably not. But at the same time, it's just going to be too much. So I definitely think that Chicago they'll sweep them, and they'll just be ready for the next round.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up how they plan these games on like Wednesdays, the high seed days, and it feels like for both of the opponents and those in those series, a whole lot has to happen their way to come out of it. Going on Thursday, Ray, you already talked about the second part of Thursday, but the first part of Thursday, Carter, we'll start with you. Connecticut hosts Dallas. For Dallas, credit to them the season that they've had. I don't think they have Enrique unless they advance out the first round. Her injury's supposed to keep her out through the duration of the first round, at least. So tall task, you're dealing with Connecticut, who's another one of those teams who's had postseason success. It's like 4 teams where they're used to deep water this time of year. Your thoughts on that series, though?
I know Jasmine's out, but they still should have enough. They have no answer for John Quill and Alyssa. It's as simple as that. I know Dallas has a lot of size. They're young, but they're inexperienced. They're not really used to this time of the year. You know what I mean? Where it's different. And the John Quells, the Alyssa Thomas, the DeWanna Bonners, they're playing. They're going to go from playing like 30 minutes a damn, they're playing the whole game. And you got to deal with them unless they're in foul trouble. So the home court advantage is going to be huge, but I expect, especially with Enrique, somebody will have to play. My bad. A couple players will have to play out their mind for them to have a chance. And I just don't see that happening. So the same thing, I see you being a sweep with this as well.
All right, Octavia, your thoughts on this one, and we'll go to Ray.
Yeah, same. I think Jacquel's just going to be entirely too much for them. Alyssa Thomas has had a great season as well. I just think that they're going to be too much. Like you said, Dallas, they have a lot of young players. They don't have a lot of experience. And I just think that, Connecticut is just – I honestly think that they kind of, are probably still thinking about last year. So I know that they're going to be locked in and ready to go and try to get back, to the finals.
All right, Ray.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a trifecta, man. Connecticut should handle business. No, Enrique is tough. Connecticut probably still wins regardless, but without her, man, it just makes it that much more inevitable that Connecticut advances. Tierra McCowan, she had a great last month of the season, but I don't know if she's capable of, impacting the game that way against Connecticut with their size and the players they have. You got to deal with John Quill down there, Alyssa Thomas, Bonner has size and length, Bree Jones coming off the bench. I mean, it's a lot to deal with. So yeah, unless they gonna count on her getting 23 and 15 tonight and controlling the game, it's a wrap, man. And like Cardell and Octavia pointed out, they don't have an answer for John Quill Jones, and it's ugly when you do have somebody that can match up with her, but when it's just nobody on your depth chart, you can say try to deal with that. It's a wrap, man.
Yeah, Connecticut's front court's kind of crazy. Alyssa, John Quill, Bree Jones, that's a whole lot to deal with. And again, with Dallas, like Cardell said, no Enrique, I don't even know the people that are going to be, if they have the bodies that can physically even try to, come together to put up for the lost production, right? But again, man, kudos to everybody that's in the playoffs. It's tough because you got a bunch of teams that's been here before. But we're going to end this playoff segment. I know Ray touched on it a little bit. I'm going to give Cardell and Octavia a chance to talk on it as well. Washington, Seattle in the 4-5 matchup. We all remember a couple weeks ago, Washington got to be kicking themselves a little bit, had an opportunity to be hosting this. However, some of the things that they've done led to this right here, where you're now going across the country instead of inviting Seattle across the country to your home where you won a championship, going on the road to Seattle. These two teams aren't exactly strangers to facing each other in the postseason. Cardell, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is the one series I think will go the distance. Look, man, Washington can beat this team. if they don't beat themselves. That's the only question. Like that's what got me nervous because if they don't have these spurts where they just get ice cold offensively, turn the ball over, then I'll be like, I think they can get them because they're deeper than Seattle, honestly. You know what I'm saying? But Seattle is so well coached and just a well-oiled machine that their role players maximize their roles, even though they may not be as talented. Like say, Atawa is not as talented, or McBeggar is not as effective, say, as a Maisha Hines Allen or whatever. You know what I mean? At this current stage, but she understands her role and she stays disciplined in the role. So it looks like she is more effective when they match up. A lot of times it goes back and forth when really Hines Allen should win that matchup. And I'm just using that as an example. The thing that has me worried outside Seattle, you know, with they up there with assists, they don't turn the ball over, but they turn you over. They thrive off that. The thing that has me worried about them is they have the guards to put pressure on where Washington is weak at, and that's their back front line, the front court. When the front court has to like defend and close out outside Shakir, that's when teams give them problems and stuff. And I'm gonna plug this Got a Pro comment where I'm talking about how Jewel Lloyd took him out a couple weeks ago, and watch that film. I'm gonna break it down like how what she was aiming at, and that's a problem, and that's why the games were close. She attacked Hines Allen, who can be undisciplined on defense. She attacked Deladon, who we know has had back problems. She can't move as well, and even though she has experience, and then they attacked Shakir, testing her experience and poise to see if she was to be disciplined, and they got great looks, and if they would have hit more shots, it wouldn't have been close in that first game. You know what I mean? Now, Cloud and Atkins and Alicia Clark, they're gonna strap. Like you're not gonna get nothing easy with that. It's the front court when they get into that second half of the defense is where I'm worried about, especially off pick and rolls, because those Washington bigs don't like to close out. They don't like to hedge out. They give those guards a lot of space, and you don't want to give Stewie, especially Jewel Lloyd. She already took him out once this season. You don't want to give her. And Sue Bird is capable. You know what I mean? So it's playoff time, so you're going to see them playing all the maximum effort. Like Sue Bird coming off that screen, if you're not on it, she's letting it fly. Whereas in the regular season, I'm going to take my time, get Stewie going. It ain't going to be none of that. That's what has me concerned because Washington has been up and down all season in that area. So it's hard for me to just be like, all right, they going to be straight. I don't know. And you also got to understand, with a lot of players on the team that they count on, Shakir, Rui, that play heavy minutes or whatnot. Elizabeth, I know she's been in the playoffs before, but she ain't been in there in a minute with Atlanta, being down there in Atlanta. It's a different ball game now. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting. They're capable of winning, but I do expect it to go the distance, man. And because Deladon and Stewie going to cancel each other out. You know, they're going to go back and forth. That's going to cancel each other out. But they got to do something on pick and rolls with Jewel Lloyd and Sue Bird, man. And Cloud, she can't be off. She got to score. It's not enough for her to just facilitate because I think Sue's going to be more, she's going to be extra aggressive. And they can't have Seattle's bench outplay them like they did at one game and they lost a couple weeks ago with Tower came in the game. Epiphany Prince came in the game, got a few steals, scored, and obviously McBeggar, who's 6'4", 6'5", she's a presence inside. They just can't allow that, man. So they're very close in matchups and stuff like that as far as everything being equal. It's just who executes better. And from what we've seen throughout the season, Seattle executes better, more consistently. You just got to keep the Bucks. So that's why I think and they got home court. So you got to get them the slight edge right now, but I do expect it to go the distance.
Octavia, your thoughts on Mystic Storm?
I mean, Cardell covered pretty much all of it. I mean, the number one thing that I thought about was Jewel Lloyd. Like, when they played against them the last couple of games, like, she did exactly what Cardell said. She went at the bigs, and she was killing them. So, I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. I definitely think, like you said, Deladonna and Stu are going to kind of cancel each other out, and I think Shakira, plays good defense around her as well. But I really think the biggest thing, like you said, is turnovers, and when they go ice cold on the offensive side of the ball, because it seems to come in like long periods of lulls. So it's not like it just kind of they have like a little bit of time out, but it's like it slows down the entire game from them. It seems like they're right there, neck and neck. I think they were like tied at halftime, 35-35 last time they played. And then they go on these stretches where they can't score, and then they can't stop them. And they were getting a lot of points off of turnovers, so they definitely have to minimize their turnovers. And then, like you said, Alicia Clark, I think she has to shoot better. This is one of her lowest 3-point shooting seasons. And she's a knockdown shooter, so I think she has to shoot better. Natasha definitely has to be more aggressive. I know, like you said, she is the top assist player this year, but she has to be aggressive and not always pass up her shots. So I definitely think this is the one series that is going to be a toss-up. Like Cardo said, I definitely think that the Mystics can win this series. They just have to be disciplined. And they have to be ready, at all times and not take their foot off the gas at all. So this is the one of course, because it's the home team, but this is the one I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Right. Go ahead, Cardo.
Okay, just Tasha Cloud need to do the Tina Charles what Jewel Loy is doing to them. Attack Tina and make her play defense, because Tina's up there. She isn't always the most let's just say enthusiastic on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm saying, but she's a threat. She still averaged 16-9 this season.
Yep.
So she's a problem. So get her in foul trouble. That's in your favor. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes Tosh can overpass. Man, go at her, man. Like make her work. That's what I'm saying. Like y'all, Atkins, go at her. Atkins be blowing me. Look, if the point ball, you got it. Man. Don't settle for that. Don't be like the league, you know what I'm saying, the NBA, and just settle for that, like, attack and get them in trouble, because Stewie's different. Like, you can attack her, she can move. So she going to get that block. You can't attack her too many times. You got to be careful. But Tina, I think you can get her in foul trouble.
Ray, wanted to give you a chance if you had any final thoughts on it. I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but just want to see if you had any final thoughts on it.
Nah, man. I just to echo again what Cardell emphasized, the discipline and consistency and execution. Those times when they go ice cold offensively and it looks like they never played with each other before, that stuff really hurts, man. It can't happen in this series because Seattle's going to take advantage of those opportunities in a 2-point deficit or turn into 17 real quick. With Seattle, with the way they're able to convert live ball turnovers and their 3-point shooting, you can't give them extra opportunities to bury you because they got shovels on hand, man. So yeah, the Mystics, they just gotta play the way we know they're capable of.
Like y'all said, man, it's just about it. It's not if they can do it. It's just taking care of the little things and just actually doing it. So we will see. Looking forward to this exciting WNBA postseason. If you guys follow along with us for Mystics Outlook, you guys already know we'll see y'all in the wee hours of, I guess, what would be Friday morning to talk about it, because it is at 10 p.m. start time Eastern. And then we'll see you guys again Sunday night. Hopefully Sunday evening. I didn't even look at the time for Sunday's start time just because I'm still getting over the Thursday start time. However, we're going to go to 9-4-50 breakdown. This week, Jamal Hayward's back breaking down different finishes playing off 2 feet. Again, different finishes playing off 2 feet, followed by our second break. You're watching the Focus TV.
Today we're going to work on playing off 2 feet and finishing off 2 feet different kind of ways. So I'll be attacking the rim, showing to you coming off screens, however you want to do it. These are good options for you to score playing off 2 feet. So I'm going to start in the slot area right here. I'm going to be attacking my man towards the baseline. So obviously I'm going left. So as I start my attack, obviously when I start my attack, I'm low. I want to initiate contact. Then I want to play off 2 feet. So I'm here, play off 2. Now, when I lay on 2, initiate contact. I have an option 2. Fade. Shot fake, fade. Shot fake, step through. One of my favorites. Shot fake. Use this right foot my pivot. Kobe Bryant, stand back. Finish. Multiple different options. Okay? So, that's off the drive. We'll show it to you live. That's off the fade. gonna show it to you utilizing screens. Here's the ball screen right here. Ball screen's right here. I can save the ball screen. Now I got this open space. I'm reading. I make a move here. Shot flick, spin back. I'm flying footwork. So, multiple different options. Playing on the 2 feet. Finishes at the rim. Little jump shots. However you want to play it.
Want to thank Jamal Hayward for knocking out 9-4-50 breakdown this week. Quick update with DC United. Told you guys last week they were heading on the road to take on New England. They fell to New England, to the Revs, 1-0. Carlos Hill scored off a nice pass from Brandon Bye in the 17th minute. Hill nearly scored again in the 38th minute, but it was a nice piece of defending from center back Steven Birnbaum and the goalie Rafael Romo that prevented Hill from scoring. But Hill got a great chance in the 70th minute. And you want to talk about fortuitous bounces or things working in your favor. He got around the keeper, slid the ball past him, but the goalpost denied him. Like he did everything you had to do. He got by all humans he needed to get by. The goalpost denied him. Just sharing that, it sounds like, DC United had no chance in that game. It's not the truth. The Black and Red had a few opportunities of their own. Petrovic did a great job in net for New England. He definitely earned his clean sheet. Mind you, I talked about DC United with the 6 players they brought in, adding those guys into the, onto the field. No Benteke this past week. Hopefully get to see him make his debut this week. Paulson did play this week. So they're kind of working in the new guys, and obviously, like anything in sports, like it's not a video game. You can put people together or fantasy football and be like, oh, it's fine. You slide the good players in, everything's automatically going to be fine. No, the spacing was off, the timing with the timing each other's runs. That said, the quality of the new guys, they were still able to create some good opportunities. Taxi, having played in an all-star game, he came off the bench in this game, so he didn't play until the second half. But they had some chances. They just weren't able to capitalize on them. One of the things that I think will certainly help is one of the things they're missing is someone in the final third who can be a connector and a finisher. That's why they paid that undisclosed amount for Christian Benteke. They still haven't said how much money they spent to bring that man here. I still want to know. But that's one of the things that he's able to do. He's able to make plays in the hold-up game, to find other folks, to win in the air. It's going to give him an added dimension. That said, him not being available had nothing to do with them not capitalizing the opportunities that they did get this week. I'm looking for them to continue to grow. Just to be completely honest, it's about that. However things end down the stretch here in the regular season, it's however they end. But primarily, what are you on? You're technically your 3rd coach of the year. It's about getting that group in one direction by the time the year ends. We'll see how things go this week. They're going to be playing their friendly neighbors for Philadelphia, the Union, Saturday at Audi. So looking forward to that, and then check back in with you guys next week to let you know how that goes. And hopefully that is the debut of Christian Benteke. I'm definitely excited to see him integrated with the group. Cardell, rapid fire.
All right. To first question, gonna stick to the WNBA side. Fellas, we kind of touched on this in our group chat. 4-time All-Star Liz Cambage announced Monday that she has decided to step away from the WNBA for the time being, after publicly addressing for the first time her mid-season contract divorce from the Sparks in the middle of a playoff race. Her quote, playing for the Sparks was a dream come true, and I'm honored to have shared the court with such amazing ladies for as long as we did. I'm sorry to have left abruptly, and I wish it would have ended on a different note. I've decided to step away from the league for the time being, and I'm hopeful that the WNBA will do their part in creating safer environments and a stronger support system for their players. While I'll miss rocking the purple and gold, I'll be taking this time to focus on my healing and personal growth before providing clarification on past rumors. Thank you to all my supporters, family, and friends for all the love and light you continue to surround me with. Following Cambage's departure on July 26th, the Sparks lost 8 of their final 9 games of the regular season. fall out the playoff contention and finish with the second worst record in the league. 3-time champion LA is now missing from the postseason in consecutive seasons for the first time since 97 and 98, the league's first 2 years of existence. Also, the Sparks will not have a high draft pick. They traded that away for Kennedy Carter. Octavia, what are your thoughts on Kemba Age?
I'm indifferent about it just because I honestly feel like we use this, or some athletes use this whole mental health healing protection thing as like a cop out at times. And I feel like it takes away from when people actually have those situations going on. It can't always be everybody else. And like in this situation for me with Liz Cambage, like granted, I don't know her personally. I don't know her personal struggles. It can't always be everybody else. She has to be able to take some type of responsibility in the situations that she's involved in. And I feel like the quote was kind of a dig at whoever she wanted to be at, hoping that they create a safer environment for us. Like, it's hard for me to really say that. And then, granted, yes, you're taking, your time away from the WNBA, but I don't know if you'll be back even if you didn't want to take the time away. So it's kind of like, what else would you have done at this point? Because I don't think anybody else would have picked you up regardless. So I'm kind of indifferent about it. Granted, it's a saga that I hope is completed in this situation, but I wish her the best, if she does. I mean, I personally think it has to be something going on because, like I said, it can't always be everybody else. It has to be something internally that she needs to work on herself. So maybe this is her step of realizing that. But I just don't like the way that she kind of tried to blame others on the way out. Just take ownership for it. I have some things I need to fix and go on and do that. I mean, we're grown. She's, 30 plus years old. Like, we should be able to, be honest with yourself and with others and just say that I need to get better. So I wish her nothing but the best.
All right.
Yeah, man. The thing that stuck out to me about the statement was just the absence of personal accountability. Like Octavia said, man, you got a track record at this point. And at some point you become what your reputation is. If you're the common denominator, then all signs are pointing to it's something that you're doing. And again, if it's something going on with her, I hope she addresses that. But with the way the statement was phrased, it just reeked of still pointing fingers elsewhere. Like that was a pretty ugly situation with LA, even dating back to when she was with the Australian national team, so I don't know, man. It's probably the best for her to step away from basketball at this time. You got to take care of yourself. But yeah, hopefully she gets to a point where she can address whatever issue she's having. And get to a good space where she can return to the court. Whether that's in the WNBA or not, who knows? Man, she's a professional bridge burner at this point. But yeah, man, it can't, every time it can't just be, it's my mental health, and definitely not downplaying the significance of that, because there are situations where people legitimately have struggles in that area and it manifests itself in certain behaviors. But I don't know, man. Just being an outside observer, I'm just gonna say hopefully she gets whatever's going on taken care of. And if basketball is in her future, then great. And if not, then much success to her and whatever she decides to do next.
Wilson.
Yeah, I'm with Octavia. I'm just indifferent to it. It's yet another stop on her time in the WNBA. Something's really going on. Truly hope she gets help. That said, two things can be true. You could both seek help and take some accountability. Still take some accountability, and it feels like the lack of taking accountability has been the most common thing no matter what is going on with her. And, you know, one of her former teams hasn't looked back since the departure. You know, we talked about them a little earlier. They're the 1 seed right now. You know, it's crazy. You think about the Sparks, where no matter what's been going on, you always think about. You never really assume they're going to be out the postseason. Like, that's nuts. And then they don't have their pick. You know, shout out to some shrewd GMing where that pick swap happens with Washington, who's in the playoffs. But yeah, just it's always been the lack of accountability for me. Whether something's truly wrong or not, like, you can be accountable and seek help, but we never see the accountability part, like, ever. So
Yeah, for me, it's just it fall on deaf ears. I'm a no nonsense dude. That's just how I am. Especially in this day and age, there's just so much BS. She's pretty much singing the same song she always sings when something like this happened. Forced away out of the Dallas national team. The Aces, not even just forcing her way out, calling out the coach Becky Hammond because she got a high salary. And she talking about what about the players and stuff. Really, she meant why, but what about her? And I'm like, you act like Becky Hammond ain't alone in the WNBA and she ain't paid dues as a coach in the WNBA and in the NBA. You know what I mean? To negotiate that. And then now with and then you leave that team and they're better without you. And now you do this to the team in the middle of the season with a contract divorce. And I don't understand the terms of the contract. I ain't look into it, but if it's a contract divorce, shouldn't that mean that another team could have picked her up if they wanted to? So the fact that she's still on the market pretty much tells you what it is. You know, obviously her talent, but this is a perfect example where the drama just it makes you not even want to deal with the talent. And you know, that's what she is. I like if it was me, I wouldn't go near her. I'll just be good. Like, you good, I'm good. Because think about it. She go to a veteran team, she's not gonna get away. They're gonna hold her accountable and stuff. They're gonna challenge her. So with her track record, she's gonna quit there. She go to a young team, they're inexperienced, they're gonna lose a lot. She's gonna be frustrated. She gonna probably quit there. So why would you touch her? You see what I'm saying? And if you're a championship team, you damn sure don't want to touch her because she's a chemistry killer. She's a team killer. I'm just big on looking in the mirror first, man. And the reason why I just don't think she's looking in the mirror, because if you were, you wouldn't have added a shot at the WNBA providing some type of whatever safety, help for all that. None of the other ladies are complaining. It's only you. So think about it, though. Like, really, over the last year since the Olympics started, the Australian national team, the Aces, and now the Sparks in 1 year, like 1 year, bro. Like, nah, man. We just go over there. You good. And then you saw some of the WNBA ladies, like, we knew it was coming. On Twitter, they said that. We knew it was coming. Mental health, right on cue. They're not falling for that, man. So, man, good riddance. I think her career is done. And, you know, I don't wish bad on anybody, but when you do it to yourself over time, you do it to yourself, especially with how ruthless the WNBA is, with all these ladies out here who are busting their ass, trying to stay in shape, grind, so they can fulfill a dream of playing professional basketball. You got so many chances and you just keep throwing it away. I just don't have no sympathy for you. It is what it is at this point. Yeah, I hope you get help, but it's hard to get help when you don't admit fault first. So, you know, it is what it is. Moving on, Pete Carroll, Hall of Fame coach, who brought the spotlight to, you know, Princeton, utilizing the Princeton offense during his 30 years with the Princeton Tigers, passed away yesterday at the age of 92. His family said, we kind of ask that you please respect our privacy at this time as we process our loss and handle necessary arrangements. More information will be forthcoming in the following days. Utilizing the Princeton offense is basically an offense where it's clock draining, but it relied on a lot of backdoor cutting and a lot of accurate passing. You know, Carroll led Princeton to 13 regular season Ivy League titles at a time when the conference did not have a postseason tournament. Princeton also won the NIT in 1975, defeating Providence 80-69 at Madison Square Garden. One of their most memorable games is when they were a 16th seed in 1989 NCAA tournament. They pushed the Georgetown Hornets, the top seed, all the way to the brink, falling 50-49. And that Hoya team had two Hall of Fame centers in Alonzo Mourning and Dikembe Mutombo. Almost pulled off the upset, the first 16-1 upset, man. So he had a famous quote. He said, "Anybody can coach basketball." I can tell you that right now. It's not that hard to know about a pick and roll and a back pick, the shuffle cut. I mean, it's not that hard. But what is hard is to see how to develop something, to have an idea how your team is going to play. And that comes under the header of thinking. Ray, we're going to start with you. Just what are your thoughts on the passing of Carroll and his impact on basketball in general? And also, he was an assistant coach with the Sacramento Kings from 97, I believe, to 09. So he was assistant with those great Kings that pushed the Shaq and Kobe dynasty Lakers to the brink. And if you understand the Princeton offense, then you understand how much damage they were doing with Hedo, Pager, and the high-low passing with Vlade and Chris Webber, and shooting a Bibby and all those guys. Eddie Jordan coached with him in Sacramento. He brought a similar style offense to the Wizards. To the Wizards when he had Gill and all those guys and whatnot. And also John Thompson III played on them, and he brought that offense to Georgetown with Jeff Green and those guys when they made it to the Final Four, Roy Hibbert and all that. So the offense has stood the test of time. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, man. Like whenever you're like the creator of a thing, like that's just the ultimate respect right there, man. And props need to be given. I think one thing I like about the social media age and things like that is when somebody like this passes, who I'm sure a lot of current basketball fans might not even recognize their name. People can put out clips and lengthy lengthy posts about what he meant to basketball and just kind of educate people. Whether you decide to take in that information or not, that's on you. But you bringing up his affiliation with those great Sacramento teams just shows his impact on multiple levels of the game. And yeah, like the personal offense is basic on his face. When he's running it with at Princeton with those guys who may not be as athletic or flashy, but you instill those same principles with the guys with the level of talent that Sacramento had, and they ran roughshod through the league for the most part. So, I mean, it just, I think just kind of emphasizing what he created and how far his tentacles reach in terms of that system. It just shows that, again, it's nothing new under the sun, man. Like what we're seeing today in basketball has been here for a very long time, So it's definitely sad that he passed away. It just for me personally, it just kind of reminds me that I'm getting older because because like you bringing up them playing Georgetown, like I vaguely remember that just as a little kid. Being in the basketball, of course I didn't know what I was watching at the time, but just that he's been around that long, it just, it speaks volumes. And then the Princeton offense is going to be around forever. People are going to use it. It's effective as hell. That can't be denied. And some variation of it is going to exist, for eternity.
Wilson?
Yeah, man came up with a staple in basketball that's not going anywhere. Happy that you laid all the things that he did out, and it makes sense because watching the Kings during that time, like the way they moved the ball was crazy, and you listed the type of, like, think about on like Ray said, at its core, what it's made to do to help a team move the ball, to open things up. Now you put those talented big man passers on the floor together, and you see what they did with it. And for somebody like Mike Bibby, it had to be wonderful. You're always gonna be open for somebody like Peja, who you're tall enough to see over the defense, shoot over people. And Chris Webber and Vlade don't get enough credit for being some of the best passers at their positions. And again, that group was like tailor made for it. Now it even makes more sense to me now, because it was those Kings teams were so tough, like they were ridiculously tough and annoying to put away. And I think for the most part, like a lot of people rooted for them watching them, even except if you're a Laker fan, I get it. You weren't bothered, but they probably definitely got on your nerves. But credit to him, man. It is a staple of basketball as a whole, and will be remembered as such. No matter, like Ray said, with some of these wonderful fans these days, I think everything is new. The only thing, everything that happened from 2003 on is brand new and never existed before. Look, man, it's a stable. Credit to him. He's going to be one of the people that, when you talk about the sport, just can't be forgotten for his contributions to it. So credit to him for it. And obviously, prayers to his family as he passed.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both pretty much covered, a lot of it. One thing that kind of sticks out to me is when I was in high school, I had a older coach. So this was something I heard about when I was in high school playing. And that was, we didn't call it a Princeton office, but if you think about it, that's all it was. Constantly moving, constantly doing back picks. So it's like Ray said, when something's named after you, or something like you created something, it's going to live on forever. Like it's always going to be different variations of it, but it's always going to boil down to being the Princeton offense. So, he was a great coach. Again, I always say that it sucks that we have to, give people their flowers after they're gone. But I'm glad that at least we are able to talk about him and able to, talk about the contribution that he had to the game, because it's like you said, it's always going to go on. It's just maybe get tweaked, but it's always going to be a part of the game. And so, much respect to him and his family. And it's always sad when, somebody passes away, but it's nice to see all the lives that he's touched. And I'm sure that that's pretty good for him.
Yeah, obviously growing up watching basketball, I knew about his impact. They pretty much were the king of the Ivy League. Yeah, they were like the Celtics. The Bulls, it was their league. So teams hated playing them, because to beat that team, your IQ got to be, it ain't enough to be a great athlete. If you come in there thinking you just go out, run and jump, you're going to get your ass whooped. They're going to embarrass you. You know what I mean? So you had to come in there and be well coached, well disciplined, and like you're saying, guarding that is tough. Like we actually use that. We just called it a different set. We called it South in college. We use that, and we will always come up, use a lot of the screens up top, and then depending on how the ball handler came off one of us, we either pop out or roll. And sometimes we can roll to the basket and go over to the wing and set up back screen, and that wing will go back door. It just keeps the defense guessing. And most people don't like to play defense, which is why these type of offenses are so effective, because they're going to make a mistake. I think Alonzo Mourning said after that game when they barely escaped, he was like, we're way more talented, but they killed us with the backdoor cuts, man. And we weren't disciplined enough defensively, and that's how they almost beat us. We going to have to shape up. This was a wake-up call, because they thought they was just going to come in there and bully them. And, Georgetown, especially at that time, with those guys and, Big John and all that, but it ain't happened. And then they got their fair share of upsets along the way, man. It represents the beauty of the game. And, hell, even at the NBA level, a lot of teams can use this offense, man, because right now it's a bunch of crossovers and step back threes all day. And you shoot enough of them bound to go in. You know what I'm saying? No matter the percentages and all that. It's just bad offense, predictable offense. But with that, it's unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? And it has players' flaws. If they can't dribble, they're not the best athlete or whatever, you're still effective because you always moving and you got to be guarded. It just plays in their favor, man. So we saw the results at every level, man. So yeah, his impact will stand the test of time. So definitely respect him. And one other question, just wanted to throw in here, get your thoughts on the Southeastern Conference Commissioner, Greg Sankey, who sits on the board for the entire NCAA. Said last week that he wants to take a fresh look at the NCAA men's basketball tournament, perhaps with an eye toward expansion of the current 60-18 field. Sankey cautions that he is not ready to make headlines there yet, but he also is open to conversations about a big dance that doesn't exclude small conference champions while potentially including more teams. He said if the last team in can win the national championship and they're in the 30s or 40s from an RPI or NCAA net standpoint, is our current approach to putting national championship competition, Sankey asked. I think there's health in that conversation. That doesn't exclude people. It goes to how do we include people in these annual national celebrations that lead to a national champion. Sankey's remarks pertain to the men's tournament, but given the recent NCAA emphasis on equal tournament experience for both the men and women, it is conceivable that the discussion of an expanded bracket would also apply to the women's tournament as well. Sankey stresses that he said that the tournament could change, not that it would, but the suspicion among some mid-major and low-major programs that their automatic bids would instead be given to more teams from the rich and powerful multi-bid leagues, the Power 5 schools. March Madness will become much more controlled by a handful of schools, Florida Gulf Coast President Michael Martin said, and automatic qualifiers that we now get from being in the ASUN will disappear. We'll circle back to you. Well, we're going to start with you, Wilson. Just what are your thoughts on possible expansion of the NCAA tournament for the men's and women's basketball?
NCAA governors and decision makers, y'all need to sit still and fix the things wrong for the student athletes. Stop messing with things. Y'all already made it 68 teams. Stop it. Also, y'all really want people to tune in to watch people get punched? I'm just going to say it, like punched. Like on the women's side of it, for example, there's already a big disparity between that top 16, and then you're going to add more to it? Why? Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. Just why? And they already have it where, like, the top 16 get to play at home in the first round anyway. So you're going to give some more of the, like I forgot the person who said the Florida Gulf Coast person said, like, think about it. You're going to give, like, why give more stuff to the bigger conferences? Like, that's what's going to happen. You can say it's for the little schools at first, but you're just going to give your SECs, your Big East, and all that other stuff. They're going to get even extra room to mess up and take up bids. Stop it. Just let it be. When you're, like, leave it as is. Either win or don't. If you don't win, I just don't want to hear about it. Like, stop doing this stuff. Please don't participation trophy the NCAA tournament. Like, just leave stuff be, because some of those scores are going to be so disgusting. You're gonna automatically want to wish that you took back what you okayed. Like, it's not going to be fun. And then, like you said, you're gonna probably skip over some of the mid majors, bring in some of the lower Power 5s, and then the filler is going to come from even lower than the mid majors. What do y'all think is going to happen? Like right now, we have the mid majors. Like right now, the mid majors they've done a great job. There's a gap between the mid majors and the people that you're talking about, including like I don't even like saying mid majors that much to begin with, because it doesn't mean what it used to mean. Things have changed since then, but some things just need to be left alone. That's just me. Old man, yellow cloud, all that stuff. Leave that alone, man. Like, I don't.
You talking about the men's or the women's side of both?
Just for me, I don't see it for both. Because like you said, if you do it for one, you got to do it for the other. I really don't like it for the women's side, because it's a struggle already giving them the respect that they deserve. Doing that, man, you about to make it go backwards. You're gonna give all the people that talk a whole bunch of wild stuff without watching excuses to keep staying in their ignorance. And on the men's side, yeah, it might be lesser, but because again, it has to be equal, correct? I don't see what we're doing here. I just don't see it at all. Like let's be honest, how many times do people get upset in the first week of the women's tournament as is? Like, you're literally giving 16 teams get two rounds at home of the NCAA tournament. You want to expand that? Yeah, I don't see it.
Right. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm more so I kind of like the way things are. I mean, I understand, with this day and age, everybody is trying to reinvent and trying to do, new things and maybe in their eyes, bringing new eyes to the competition. Maybe they're looking to get more money. I don't know, but I'm big on just like, if it ain't broke, why are we trying to fix it? Granted, on the other side of it, I mean, I understand like if it's going to be good competition, where I'm always down for more games and more competition, but I don't really see the whole aspect of it as of yet. So I mean, I would want to hear more to see like how it would actually, shake down. But again, I'm more so like if it's not broke, why are we doing more? So I'm kind of indifferent about this as well.
Right.
If you can't make it in a field of 68, you don't deserve to be there. Like why are we doing this, man? Like it's ridiculous. And to Wilson's point, especially on the women's side, like those early matchups are going to be slaughterfest. Like what is the point? Like no, that's what the NIT is for. Like you got a whole nother tournament set up to address specifically what this dude is talking about. So, I mean, yeah, we need to leave it alone. I mean, somebody's gonna just say, "Oh, we have an NCAA tournament appearance" when they lost by 70 points. Like, what's the point? Like, just leave it alone, man. They already gave them 4 extra slots. Leave the 68. Go on about your business and address some more important things that need to be addressed before we start tampering with things that are functioning well at the moment.
Yeah, definitely on the women's side, I'm not with it. Like I said, South Carolina playing the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, that would be about 150-20. It would be historic. It would be bad. You know what I mean? And that's what Don sitting the starters midway through the first half. You know what I'm saying? It would still get bad. And that's no disrespect. It's just how it goes. On the fella side, a little bit I can get it, but also like I agree with Ray. It's enough slots for deserving teams. I just feel like the committee need to do a better job at selecting the deserving, and not just being lazy and selecting the more name brand. I guess we would drive more money or whatnot. You brought up the NIT. They changed that. That won't be an MSG no more. That's going to Vegas. So it starting this upcoming season. So it's been there since 1930. And I think gambling has a lot to do with that and stuff. It's just, I like people just love evolution just to see things change, but it got to make sense. And whoever said evolution and change is always for the better. That doesn't guarantee nothing. That's just some lazy term that people adopted. I like it the way it is. It's already memorable. Everybody look forward to it. It's one and done. You got 6 games, and then you know what I'm saying. And a couple teams have pulled off upsets in the first round and stuff like that, knocking off the higher seeds. The selection committee actually have to watch college basketball outside the Power 5 guys so they can get more what they quote unquote call low majors, because there are deserving conferences where, all right, maybe like say, like the MEAC a few years back, you had Norfolk State that was strong and North Carolina Central. They both should have been in there. But unfortunately, somebody got to win the championship, and they just, we'll just take the champion. You see what I'm saying? And that's just lazy to me, man. You know who's the who's. You know what they're doing. You know if they're well coached. You know they can compete. Put them in the field. But stop giving, like, either it was last year or the year before, Syracuse, that was like 500. And because they play in the ACC, they make the tournament. Like, that's just ridiculous, man. No, they don't deserve to go because they won a few games in the ACC tournament. No, they're 500. They don't deserve to go. And I see it is, man. So I think it just needed to be more of that. It sounds like it sounded like the NBA rule when the kids were coming out of high school and they put the rule in and they were saying, well, these kids are not ready. Nah, y'all just not good evaluators because y'all went and drafted these kids where they would get in the league and just be completely overwhelmed. You know what I'm saying? Or you will draft the kids, the LeBrons, the Garnetts, the Kobe's that are ready, and you know what you're looking at. Don't put that rule in place to save you from yourself. That's your job. You're supposed to be good at it. So who's making these selections when it comes to the NCAA tournament? I just feel like they just need to do a better job. It doesn't need to be messed with. It's just like the NFL. They keep expanding games, but then y'all saying y'all worry about player safety. Y'all contradicting yourselves. It's no need. It's fine. Like, I just feel like these dudes just collecting big checks and just bored. I'm like, dog, go play golf or something. You know what I'm saying? You look, just just go somewhere and just chill, man. Just leave things alone, man. Like Octavia said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. I feel like they trying to fix something that ain't broke, and it's gonna damage it. Cause you're gonna have people complaining like, yo, no one wants to see University of Maryland Eastern Shore get slaughtered by 100. Like it's just that's not even a celebration worth having because it's embarrassing for the school. So it's just something to look at, man. But I don't know, man. I hope they kill it. They already blowing me moving the NIT from MSG, man, to the Vegas. It's like, come on, dog. Like, what are we doing here? But we all know money is involved, so it is what it is.
Yeah, they need to take all that energy. And how about you add some people to your staff, to the committee, to do a better job, like Ardo said. That to me would be worth the time and energy. Adding
people to that committee that are involved with basketball.
How about that? How about having a diverse committee to get to figure out a good idea to put the most diverse 68 or the best 68, the most deserving 68 in your field? Because I am so sorry. There is no way, you know what, that Syracuse deserved to be in anybody NCAA tournament. Syracuse don't even mean what it used to mean. Like, how? Like, y'all have to stop. And then that's a perfect example of what's going to happen if you expand it. More teams are going to get to Syracuse. Here you go. I mean, you are an ACC. I know you failed. Like, it's Power 5 schools going to fail upwards into the tournament. That's a horrible precedent. Just keeping it a buck. Like, big bank, little bank at all times with the NCAA. Like, we know how it's going to go. So leave it as is, and just fix stuff that needs to be fixed. I want to thank you guys for tuning in this week, as always. Don't forget, we'll have Mystics Outlook with the postseason started. We'll see you guys Wednesday night / Thursday morning, then again on Sunday night. Always get over to thefocustv.com. Don't forget, you can watch the Focus TV, new installments of Focus TV every Wednesday mornings, usually between by 9 a.m., 9:30 on our Roku channel. If you got a Roku television or device, all you have to do is type in the search box, the Focus TV, double click OK, and the channel is added. Or catch us Friday nights, 10 p.m. on DC TV. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you guys next week.